Sandro De Matteo, and I'm a Westchester writer. I've been writing for a very long time. And this is my first novel, Dreams, Lies, and a Touch of Smoke, and this is my second, The Summer of the Spanish Writer. Now, I write about Westchester because that's where I live, and this is what I know. Now, I'm sure you've noticed my accent. I was born and raised in Italy, in Naples in particular. I was also educated in Italy. And I moved to the United States when I was young because I married an American. And so now I live in Westchester. I landed in Westchester, which is a wonderful place and I love it. But I have been writing for a long time. I was writing when I was in Italy also, even though I was very young. But then English is my second language. I started writing in Italian. I used to be very good, if I may say so myself, when I was writing in Italy. But then I married in America, moved here. I had some high school English in me, but my husband did not speak Italian, and it was a struggle for a while. And I also loved to read. So when I came to America and I found books that seemed very difficult for me to read, because I was only reading in Italian. In English, what was I doing? Reading about going to the store, you know, school stuff. And I was resigning myself to never read again, which was a horrible thing for me to do. But then you know what happens? You learn. A little bit at a time, I started learning the language. I started to understand my husband, which I didn't very well, long story. And then I started reading in English, and it was exciting when I could understand words, when I could open a book and even do this, and I actually understood it instead of following something. So eventually you learn. But it was not an easy process. It took some time. Television is very helpful for that. Also, because I teach Italian classes here in Armonk, and by the way, this is a flyer from the library, Italian Language and Culture with me, and the classes are on Tuesdays at 6:30, 45 minutes of beginners and 45 minutes of intermediate. So come and see me. This is going to be a lot of fun. And also, this is my website, marawriter.com, where I write a blog in both English and Italian. I also have, I write about growing up in Italy, memoirs, and I love food, so I write a lot about food. And I have a lot of recipes on my website and 27 videos, most of them baking and cooking videos. So take a look. It's going to be, you know, interesting and fun to look at that. Okay, but going back to the writing process. Okay, what is something, how do you start writing? How does this work? You start writing, first of all, because you feel that you have to. There's so much inside you that you want to say. And writing is very cathartic, of course. It helps you deal with everyday's life, with problems or anything. You write about it, and even if you don't write about what is happening, I don't. I'm a very private person, so write a story about someone else. Write things. Someone else who may be just in your head. It doesn't have to exist, this person. And write about what you know. I would never write a story that takes place in Bali. I don't know anything about Bali. It sounds like a great place. I'd love to go there, but I could not make it real. It could not come to life because I don't know anything about it. I need, and I think all writers do that, need to feel when you're writing. If you don't feel, it's not coming out right. Because you're going to just write, it will be like you reading a textbook or something, that's boring. But if you start writing, you sit down and start feeling. You start feeling first. That's what you have to do. Like Ernest Hemingway said, oh, there's nothing to writing. You just sit down on the typewriter and start bleeding. That is absolutely true. You sit down and start bleeding because all the emotions, everything that is affecting you one way or the other comes through. And you can start writing about it. And know what you're feeling. I don't write about myself in my books. Because I write so personally, I write in the first person only. Okay, I've tried doing it a different way, but it's not, I cannot be as emotional about it. And I think that the best writing is done if you're very emotional about things. because then you make the reader feel what you're feeling. So you start by sitting down at a computer, and yes, you have a white screen in front of you. And it's very scary because you say, what, now what? Just relax, start thinking about it, whatever, and start writing. I do this all the time. Sometimes because I want to keep on my blog in English and Italian, so I sit down at the computer and I have this blank screen, and now what? However, I start thinking and things come out.
Now, when you write, Mara, do you write in Italian or English?
That's a good question that we could also talk about. I love it. It's a great question.
I'll remember that. Hopefully
yes.
I'll remember. Because when you have two languages and your language is Italian, your primary language, that must be difficult then.
Yes, that's my first point here. My native language is Italian. English is a second language for me. And I write a blog in both English and Italian, by the way. It is not a translation. My blog is, if I write in English, I sit down, I got myself in English mode, everything comes out and it's in English. Then, even if I'm talking about the same thing, and sometimes I write blogs about the same thing for the Italian link, and what I do is I put myself in the Italian mode, don't think in English anymore, and I start writing in Italian. And I can only say those things in Italian. And even though I'm talking about the same thing, the words are totally different, and it's amazing what comes out when you change language, when you switch. Different memories come in. I mean, it's fascinating. Writing is a fascinating thing, and it's a great way to relax. You might not say that because it's stressful when you start writing. But then once you start, it is relaxing, and the best feeling in the world when you finish. When you've written something and you're completely finished, oh my goodness, it's such a relief, and it's so exciting that you have something there.